Hi, my name is Audie Culver.
And I'm Ivy COC, and we're we're all of COC Design and Build.
It's just the two of us. And
this is Arrow. My background is in fine art and home building, classic car restoration.
My background is in primarily photography. I have an MFA in photography. And when I was in grad school, I took a woodworking course and I just was totally hooked. And so after grad school, we knew we wanted to collaborate. We thought about what we would maybe want to do together. And we thought, why not make art and a living by making functional furniture? The guiding principle for COC, for Ivy and I, is that both of our backgrounds are in art. So we want everything to feel artful, intentional. Whenever we design something, we also think about function. So we sort of have like these, there's art, there's design, there's function, and we try to pull that all together in something that is really special that maybe you've never seen before.
Getting to know the Origin is pretty intuitive. I mean, I was able to take it out of the box and go to it with really simple projects at first.
It's just getting easier and easier. Like now we do our logo on the bottoms of all of our tables and chairs, and it just sort of adds this level of professionalism to every piece.
We have current clients that have pieces from the past, and they want us to come back and put our logo on the bottom of everything with the Origin. I think we're more likely to take on more customization as far as adding names to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we are artists, because we're craftspeople, I think we responded at first really negatively towards a gantry CNC machine. And it seemed like it was going to introduce a workflow to us that we weren't really interested in. You know, we just figured we'd start doing more panels and more, working with MDF or plywood, and we really love timber and solid construction things. So we didn't really have a need for it in our shop. And then we learned how wrong that mentality is, and I think the Origin taught us that incorporating CNC work into the craft that we do can be very valuable and used in such a way that it is still art and it is still us, and it feels like the maker's hand is still there. So now that we're at this stage, we've hogged out the innards. We're ready to do a final fitment. So one more final pass and we'll get that friction fit just right.
I think all standard CNC, they take up so much space and they're so loud. The Origin, it's not terribly loud. You put it away in a box, you put it in the shelf. You take it out when you need it, and otherwise it's hidden away, and that's really valuable. Along the lines of helping the Origin help us with those fundamental, really deep, big structural inlays, is to also sort of reduce risk down the road, because the deeper you go with your chisel, the more room for error there is, and it also slows you down. So if the Origin can speed that process up, get us that perfect line, and then maybe all we have to do is notch out the corners and then slam that giant inlay in there, then it's gonna, keep things a little bit more fun for us and also more efficient. Within the next year or so, we hope to build our own shop and moving into a new space that we can sort of better accommodate workflow, get a little bit more efficient. And our goal is to do these sort of high-end, big slab tables. And in doing that, we need to find ways to make that process a bit more efficient. And it's a really good way for us to sort of get those basis, fundamental, important, big inlays in there, get them perfect, fix flaws, fix knots, fix cracks. And I think just the ability to kind of add to a slab like that could really streamline our process. Whenever we do a really big inlay like that, we want to blend it with the grain overall. So we add little bits and pieces, little inlays to go on top of that. And not only does it sort of interlock that existing inlay and make it even stronger, but it also blends everything so that you're not just looking at really contrasting grain. We like for people to have to really look at the slab and the tabletop for a while before they even notice the inlays.
When there is a piece from the original, or not, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but Audie's really good at matching up grain and making sure that the inlay flows into the grain of the slab itself. great thing about the Origin is that I can see exactly where we want to place this inlay, and because I've used the same field when we placed this, I can see exactly on screen where I want to put this. But before the Origin, the scoring set the stage for where the inlay was going to go, and then we'd take a traditional handheld router and route out that space, hoping that you don't go over your line. It is hard to see with a traditional router.
And so that's
staying
kind of
within your lines.
what the Origin has done, is sort of eliminated that issue, right? You can't go over the line. So it speeds things up, and you don't, when you're doing with a handheld router, you do a tiny bit at a time. You're looking for your line, and it can be kind of a slow process if you're going for perfect precision. And the Origin makes that a little bit easier for us.
Yeah.
So the Origin gets us really close. I mean, super tight to exactly what we need. And then all that's left to do is for us to notch out the corners. There are a lot of things that can go wrong whenever you're hand chiseling these out. And one thing is that you have an inlay that's a little bit too thick. And so then you have to take off a bunch of the inlay that sticks out proud of the slab itself. And a cool thing that Origin is doing for us is that we can be really precise with our depth, and deeper inlays not only give sort of more support where there are cracks and flaws, they also take a lot longer to chisel out. So it's speeding up the whole process. Yeah, using the Origin for this is more precise and less risky. We love our jobs, so we want to continue to love them for a very long time. It's important to us that we keep the process fun.
And it also still keeps it free-flowing for us. It's not all computer generated. It's still our own free will and our own aesthetic choices that are going into the piece. And so it is still fully us doing the work, but it's like having a little buddy to do the hard work first.
I think that a really important part about what we do as well is that we don't count our hours. There's like a connection between making art for your whole life and then starting to woodwork that gives you kind of this unique perspective. It's not about the amount of time you put towards something, it's about making it as perfect as you can and making it look exactly how you want it to look. We're trying to make one really special piece at a time. And in doing that, in not counting our hours, the amount of detail that we put into things is really special. So I think our philosophy is we're not like manufacturing. We're not producing, mass producing. We're really trying to make each piece art.
At the end of the day, even though we've been doing our craft all day, and we do strive for perfection amongst those details, but at the end of the day, we're artists, and we approach each piece of furniture as a piece of art.
Since we've really chosen this career for ourselves and we've kind of sculpted it to our own needs and how we want to live our lives, our tools are really important. We need to keep the fun factor high and the monotony low. So we try to mix it up, work on several projects at a time, but also we have nice chisels. We have a wide belt sander that greatly reduces the amount of time we need to sand. And then that's also where the Origin comes in. When we have days where we're doing, 10 to 20 inlays a day, the Origin makes it easier on our bodies, takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, and adds a certain amount of precision that's just undeniable.